This is episode 44 with Gurujas. Every ounce of your being is made up of molecules of energy vibrating at different frequencies that determine your experience here on planet Earth.
This podcast's intention is to inspire you to elevate the vibration of your energy for yourself and for all of us. This is The Elevator.
Hop on in and ride into the ethers with Britt and Tara of Elevate the Globe.
Acceptance makes you have a much higher vibrational frequency story of your life and experience of your life. And, you know, people that are in an acceptance space, they can do more for the planet because they have more energy and more joy.
This episode is brought to you by the Elevated Retreat Bali, which is our retreat coming up here on December 2nd through the 7th in Uluwatu in Bali.
Yes, we're so excited. I'm actually taking off today, if you're listening to this episode Monday when it comes out. And we'll be traveling for a while, about a month over in Bali. And we're so excited to meet so many of you guys over there with us. So we know it's coming up fast, but last time we went to Bali, one of our friends actually flew out and planned her trip after we got there because she wanted to join the beautiful energy so much. So we figure there's some of you guys out there that are like us, that last minute travel and fly by the seat of your pants. So we're really excited to actually give away one spot on the retreat that is being given away by an anonymous member of our community. How incredible is that? So we would love for a few more of you to come. We have a few more spots left. So if you're feeling called to it, Mama Bali's calling you, you want to spend this transformational time with us and really accelerate and amplify, you know, the end of the year into next year and just upgrade your consciousness, then we highly encourage you to apply to join us at elevatetheglobe.com/Bali Retreat 2018. And then to enter our giveaway for a chance to win the retreat free. You'll just have to pay for your flights to get there, but everything else will be covered. Go over to our Instagram at Elevate the Globe and enter to win on the Instagram post that we're posting on this Monday. And so you can head on over and get all the details there. We're so excited to have more of you and to have this incredible tribe together in person, elevating together.
Welcome back to The Elevator, and we are so beyond excited to introduce you guys to today's guest, Gurujas. And she is this amazing Kundalini yoga teacher. She is the lead singer of White Sun, who is this Grammy Award winning band. And you guys all know who she is. At least everyone in our community that's really practicing a lot of yoga with us and following us on Instagram, we listen to so much White Sun. She is incredible and her voice is incredible. And she goes into so much today about the band, about what she's singing, about the mantras, about the science. And all of that.
Gosh. Yeah, she really shares so much in this episode. She is a wealth of wisdom and knowledge, and the way that she explains everything and the experiences that she's shared through, you know, the transformational effects of the mantras through people that they've touched is just miraculous. And it's just very, very, very powerful to learn from her and hear how she, you know, uses this technology. She's been a part of 24 teacher training courses and probably more now. And, you know, she teaches teachers and she studies under Hari Jiwan, who is one of the Kundalini masters that trained with Yogi Bhajan and who received the science of Kundalini from the Mahan Tantric Yogi Bhajan. So yeah, she travels the world with Hari Jiwan, chanting, teaching, and practicing with him. And then they have White Sun together with other members, which she talks more about. So we kind of see her as the queen of mantra.
We do. I know.
Right?
Yeah, she's beautiful. And she's actually one of my teachers. I did my Kundalini yoga teacher training with her, along with Hardy Jivan and Tej and Guru Jagat and just a couple other people too. So it was a beautiful, I love her. I love her so much. She carries so much bright, beautiful energy. And she really talks about what her mission here is on the planet and what she's doing and where we're going into the Aquarian age and, you know, the what's going on the earth and the polarities that are shifting. And there's just so much. And we do go into a lot of yogic science here. And she talks about how even white sun is being studied by scientists at universities here in California. So there's just a lot going on in this episode, and it's really cool. And, you know, we have a Grammy Award winner with us here today, and it's really powerful.
Yes, we love her so much and have gained so much knowledge from her. She also did Immense Grace, which is a training I was a part of, and to just, you know, kind of like sink our minds into this technology and be inspired even more by understanding what's actually happening with the mantra and the meditation and the yoga and how she transmits it is just another level of having that inspiration that we all need to continue these practices in our daily life. So let us know what you think of this episode. Definitely screenshot and tag us, tag White Sun and Gurujas on Instagram. We love reposting and getting your feedback. It means everything to us. And thank you so much for listening and being the most incredible, loyal audience ever. So we really hope that you enjoy the show.
So we are here with Gurujas, who is a musician and the lead singer of the Grammy Award winning band White Sun, which we know everyone in our community loves. She is also one of our favorite Kundalini yoga teachers and teaches all around the world. And we are so blessed and honored to have you join us on the podcast today. And she's actually calling in from Russia right now. So thank you so much, Gurujas, for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very grateful.
So we would love for you to share a little elevator pitch we like to do, just coming from your words, a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
So my world is very simple, actually. I teach inside this lineage of Kundalini yoga, and I sing inside this lineage of Kundalini yoga, and I don't really do anything else. So I have those two things that I do. I teach and I sing, and the only purpose is for me to try to leave something down here on the planet Earth that's of use to somebody else. So I'm trying to leave teachings, I'm trying to leave energy, I'm trying to leave music, I'm trying to leave some kind of creative force. But the idea is each day to leave something behind that somebody else can use to make their lives better, to somehow improve the quality of their life experience. So even though that's short,
I love it.
And simple, it's completely 100% the only thing that I'm doing.
Wow, we love that. Yeah, and that's it really is like what we've experienced through your work and just your energy. And it is so beautiful that you're able to transmit this work and leave something here that's as so powerful as the mantra. And it's something that we've, you know, just used and has changed and transformed our lives in so many ways. And so we would love for you to share just a little bit more about how you got into connecting to the mantra, how you connected to using your voice and song and meditation, and a little bit more about your journey.
Yeah, well, so I kind of found out about meditation at an early age because there's people around me meditating, and I never really did it myself. I didn't really know that you could do it, and I never had a teacher. I didn't know you could have a teacher, but I was around meditation, so I knew what it was. And then as I got older, I was also experiencing music at a young age. So, you know, I think with a lot of people who get into music at any time in their lives, it's a lot of times they come from some kind of musical family or musical background. And that was my case as well. So my mother played concert violin, went to school for concert violin. And so there was a violin in the house, there's piano in the house. I was a pianist. I was in, some musicals as a kid. Sometimes theater is, is one of those ways of doing things. So I was involved in that. I was involved in choir and stuff like that. And then, so as I got older, I stopped performing, and it was more of a hobby, the music piece. And it was a hobby that I loved, but a hobby nonetheless. And when I went to college, I started practicing hatha yoga. And through my practice of hatha yoga, I heard somebody talking about Kundalini. And I was not involved in the conversation. I just heard this conversation go on in the hatha class of people talking about Kundalini. And one of the things that I heard was that it was very fast. It was a fast system. It works quickly. And that definitely piqued my interest, because I don't really feel that we have much time to waste down here on the planet Earth. And kind of everybody talks like that. Yogi Bhajan talks like that, and Yogananda talks like that, and Krishnamurti. And there's an urgency to the practice, and everything else can kind of wait, but the practice and the shift in consciousness is the thing that has that urgency behind it, that really we must work on. We can't put that off. So I wanted to try this Kundalini yoga. And I had moved to Michigan to go to school because I was attracted to this liberal arts education and to some things about studying abroad. And so after I graduated from school, I moved to LA, and I Googled Kundalini yoga. I literally just Googled it. And and I went to go practice it. And that's how I found my teacher, Hari Jeevan, who I found very quickly. And that's how I got into the path, which I went into, some people would say a little bit too much. Like, I practice a little bit too much Kundalini yoga, and I don't disagree with those people, but I do enjoy it. And there's nothing else that I can imagine doing. So as I started practicing the Kundalini yoga, and as I started studying with my teacher, Hari Jeevan, and traveling the world with him, I would hear the mantras delivered in song. So I'm someone who's always liked to chant a lot of different kinds of mantras, learn a lot of different kinds of mantras. And when I talk about mantras in Kundalini yoga, I'm talking about very ancient yogic languages that are not spoken anymore. They're 5,000 years old. I heard Yogi Bhajan say in one place that they're 30,000 years old. I know of at least one that's in Sanskrit. There's lots of sort of mysterious origins to these mantras. But I've always been very interested in them, and I started hearing them delivered in song. And so I started collecting these voice memos of these melodies that came. And since I'm on the phone with you guys, I wonder if there's a way for me to check and see how many voice memos I have in my phone, but there's thousands. I know that there's thousands. So they just keep coming.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
Wait, are they just downloaded in your meditations? They just come to you, or just all throughout the day?
Whenever. Yeah, like all the time. I remember I saw Bob Dylan in concert recently, and recently being, I guess, in the past few months. And I went after we were walking out, there's a herd of people walking out. And I kind of like got my phone out and recorded a little melody into it, that I was hearing. So they kind of come at all times. I certainly have dreamed some, which is cool, but I don't think extremely unique. I think a lot of musicians will dream melodies and stuff like that. And that's always kind of cool. Like, you wake up from this delirium and you're, singing into your phone because you're going to forget it. So yeah,
Wow.
So I started writing, and then Hari Jeevan is the founder of the band White Sun, and he founded it for the same reasons that I talked to you guys about earlier, which is that he just wanted to get these sounds onto the planet in a deeper way and in a more meaningful way, and certainly a more broad way, because there's a lot of people that are meant to practice Kundalini yoga itself, and then there's a lot of people that are not. Simply that's not their path, but you can still expose them to beautiful music. And if that beautiful music has mantras behind it, then it can change the brainwaves, it can change the biology of the 10 bodies, and it can start to improve the quality of their lives just, by increasing the vibration in their environment, internally and externally. So that was why White Sun was formed. And the way that the third band member, Adam, came on board was because now he is a dear, dear friend. He's like family to me, but at the time he was kind of like my friend's husband. I was closer to his wife. I didn't know him as well. And she was playing some of my sketches. I think I shared a couple of my, however many sketches I have with her. And she was playing it in her study, and he just walked by the open door. He goes, "What's that?" And then he like walks in, "What's that?" And he wanted to hear it. He wanted to hear it again. And she's told him it was me. And he is a composer for TV, and he's a fantastic composer. And traditionally, he's done a lot of kids stuff, which I love. I love the fact that he's reaching these very young, formative audiences. And I think he did one CD with Sarah Silverman, I think he produced. And other than that,
that's amazing.
Kind of like random, but awesome. I know he loves her, and he loved working with her. But other than that, it was just composing for these TV shows. And so the three of us kind of got together and created White Sun 1. And at first we created one song and then another song, and then we go, well, let's make an album. And so that first album came out in 2015, and it went to the top 10 on Billboard, and things sort of just kind of rolled out from there. So
oh gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's also a lot of fun, It's just like, I just have such a great time with it. I just feel so grateful to be doing what I'm doing. And I'm also super obsessed with it. I think about it day in and day out. So I'm very lucky. I'm very grateful. And, the fact that I get to talk to you guys right now, and, all of the other fun stuff that comes with the music is just, magic.
Oh, I love it. Now you're on actually the album number 3, right?
Yeah, we just released our third musical album, and I make that distinction because Hari Jeevan recorded a solo gong album called White Sun Gong, and we don't consider that to be musical, but that would otherwise officially be our third album. So yeah, we have White Sun 1, 2, and 3, and those are our 3 musical albums. And White Sun 3 is a double album, and it was released September 28th. So it's only been out, not quite 2 months.
Oh, well, our whole community is obsessed with it.
Yes.
They're like, in all of our groups, they're like, we're like, my kids are chanting the Guru Ram Das song. And I was just like, it's funny. Like, they love it so much.
I'm so happy to hear that. Really, guys, I'm so happy.
Yeah. We love playing your songs in classes, and we love Hari Jeevan's gong. If we ever do not have a gong, it's always like wish fulfilling gong or the healing gong for our relaxation shavasana.
Yeah, and tracks.
Oh my gosh, it's just everything that you guys create is just so vibrationally aligned and healing and powerful. It's
Wow, I feel very grateful to hear that, and also it's gratifying because we work, very, very hard, but also it's not just hard. It's sort of, trying to work as intelligently as possible to get the vibration where it needs to be on these songs, and sometimes we'll wrestle with that for a long time. A song will sound beautiful, and the instrumentation will really be perfect to any trained musical ear, but there's something vibrationally that could be better, and so we'll work with that. Well, what could it be, and since we're not listening at that point, of course we're listening to music. I mean, the whole thing is about creating music that we love. So the musicality of what we do and how, developed the music is and how refined the music is, all of that is extremely important to us. But then there's this other element of the vibration itself, and that's a little bit more difficult to pinpoint. It's easy to say, oh, let's slow down the tempo, but it's a lot harder to say, it seems like the frequency cycle is not as high as it should be. What element needs to change in order to get it at, a higher projection? So that happens.
So interesting. And then also, is there something about too the pronunciation of the mantra that you guys really focus on?
Yeah, certainly. What helped is that I knew how to read the language that these mantras are written in. It's actually an alphabet, officially an alphabet. So Gurmukhi is a phonetic alphabet. And when Yogi Bhajan gave us these mantras, they come from many different places, but I can read them in this phonetic alphabet. And so I've learned how to put the tongue in the right place on the mouth. And I kind of knew that going in, and I haven't stopped studying it because I don't really stop studying anything. So I was still looking at it, and the pronunciation is important, and the projection with which it's sung is important. The chakra that you use to project it is important. The emotional body, there's an emotional content, of course, to a lot of the songs, just like you would hear in pop music. But the difference with pop music, for instance, is that it moves the blood flow in the brain. And that's not just pop. I mean, it's really any music that you listen to. The reason why people respond to music and have since the beginning of time is because it creates a blood flow in the brain that we feel physically, biologically. But what the mantras do in addition to that is they start to change the way that the neurons fire and the velocity with which the neurons fire and the gray matter of the brain and the white matter of the brain and the secretions of the glandular system. So we have the emotional content of quote unquote normal music, but then the energetic content, which is more important, is also there. So yeah, singing it is a constant study as well.
Yeah, I know. We love hearing about the science of the mantra, absolutely, which you kind of just explained a little bit. But is there, I think that there's like some deeper stuff in there too. Would you mind kind of going into like the yogic science of mantra and and how, the tongue hitting the roof of the mouth and all of that, how that works? Because we just love how you explain things, and you just are so deeply knowledgeable about so many things, but this one in particular.
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. So in terms of mantras themselves, if we're to talk about the science of it and to actually sort of quantify the mantras, Yogi Bhajan talked about devas. Devas are like angelic beings. And he said that the devas, there's 240 million of them. And out of the 240 million devas, or devtas, angels, really, they each hold up to 11 mantras. So they can hold more than that, but they hold at least 11. So they're the carriers of the mantras. And some of those mantras were used in Piscean times, some are used in Aquarian times, but we kind of are able to see then how many mantras are available to creation, which is 240 million times 11 at a minimum, right? So,
wow! Oh my gosh!
so there's just, this is just infinite. It's not like we'll ever be done singing them. It's completely impossible to be done singing them. But one thing about this time and space, this Aquarian age, which happened 11/11/2011, is that humanity really moved from, or is working to move, is a more accurate way of stating it. Humanity is working to move from the frequency of the third chakra into the frequency of the fourth chakra, which just means I'm moving from my navel into my heart. My heart is the acceptance space. And in terms of biology, my heart is also the thymus gland. So I'm moving into a new era of love. People talk about the Aquarian age as being an era of love. Why is it an era of love? Because the heart space is a space of acceptance. And acceptance actually is synonymous with love. Because the more that I accept in the people around me, the more that I accept in my environment, the happier I am, the more content I am, and the more I have an experience of activating the love frequency. The people that you love the very, very most are the ones that you accept the very, very deepest on all levels, with all of their quirks and negatives and positives and polarities and all of that. So what we're doing with these mantras, which are very, very much Aquarian age mantras, is moving from the frequency of the lower chakras into the frequency of the higher chakras, which is related to the self-sensory system, which is another Aquarian phenomenon of transcending the five senses and entering into the sixth sense. And I know I'm moving kind of quickly, but the gist of it is this Piscean age went on for many, 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 many thousands of years. And it was an age of hierarchies, and it was an age of power and control. And the people who had the information had the power. It was a specific era in time. And that era went on for countless, it just went on forever. And so whenever we read about, the darkness of the period that times past, these are all Piscean things, Piscean wars, Piscean politics. So, but the Piscean age ended 11/11/2011, but we're still, the Aquarian age is still brand new. So you're looking at the planet and you're going, wow, I can see the Aquarian people. I can see the people who are vibrating from their heart center. I can see the people that are coming from that space of acceptance, but I also see the Piscean people. I also see the people who are not coming from the space of acceptance. In fact, they're coming from the polar opposite of the space of acceptance. They're coming from more of like a fear agenda. So So go ahead.
No, go ahead. I actually wanted to, hold on. I did want to kind of hear from you because I was looking this up the other day, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I was looking at the Piscean age, and that the birth of Christ was like ushering in the Piscean age is what it looked like. Is that your understanding of it? Like it went on that long?
I honestly can't say because I don't have that exact time frame that you have, but it sounds correct to me. If you were to say, does that sound right? It does sound right. When you say it, just kind of resonates. Yeah, it's been a really, really long time.
Right. So like our whole history that we look back completely is all Piscean.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's all Piscean. And so on the one hand, you have those Piscean people, of course, still here. They were born in this analog age. They were born in this Piscean age, and they still have agendas of fear and exclusion and instability. And then you have, on the other hand, people like the three of us, if I do say so myself about us, that we're moving towards acceptance.
Why, thank you.
It's about acceptance. It's about wellness. It's about positivity. And so the reason why we talk about all this when we talk about the mantras is that the mantras are, they heal people, they empower people, they're restorative, they're strengthening. And so we've come out with these mantras at a very specific time in history. We want our songs to do some good for the planet. And they are, and it's gratifying and it's beautiful to hear the stories. And I'll tell you one story. Since I'm in Russia, I'll tell you a story that one of the people told me here. This beautiful woman. As I already told you guys, the translation is kind of a challenge sometimes. Even though we have wonderful translators, there's just 2 points of the information being filtered. So she was talking through a translator to me about her own personal story, and she had some health issues, and her health issues had paralyzed her somehow. She had some nervous system disorder, and they couldn't figure out what it was. And she was in the hospital, just literally paralyzed, with her family taking care of her. And she could talk, though. It wasn't her head. I think that her head wasn't paralyzed, but the rest of her body was. And she was telling me about this, and she said that she had this need, and she called it a need, to play White Sun's Ikardas Waheguru off the second album. And she said she needed to hear it, and she asked her family members to turn it on, and they did. And she meditated with it, And she just sort of mentally chanted along with it and let it kind of wash over her body and her neurology. And the mantras, that mantra in particular, cured her of her paralysis. This is coming from her, and it was such a miracle for me to hear that I couldn't really process it. And I needed her to say it again. I was a little bit in disbelief, but the translator told me 3 times the same story, which is that here's this woman in the hospital, full body paralysis. She can speak. She meditated on the sound and the sound healed her. According to her version of events. So these things are, honestly, there's something that they're so ancient, but we're still working to really understand the depth of their power. And they studied our second album at UCLA, and they're still studying our music, all 3 albums at USC, and for stress management. So they're kind of like, science is kind of trying to understand the music that we're creating and exactly what it does. But really, we sort of, right now, it's sort of experiential, the things that people tell us. And
that's incredible.
It really is amazing. And of course, I would have made the album just for her if we knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
These are the things that, just like I said, I think I'm still processing that now.
But that's beautiful. And I feel like if modern science and in these universities are studying the music, it's like, then there's something there for sure that people know that it's really working. They're just trying to understand exactly how. And, we there's like the yogic science that will tell you kind of how it's happening. But I think modern science is trying to understand it now too, which is so cool to see them sort of marry together here as we kind of continue into the Aquarian age. I feel like that is so cool.
Yeah, I feel that way too. And like for people like the 3 of us, like we're interested in the yogic science of it, and we love to talk about it, and we love to do the practices that are in the same lineage. But there's a lot of people that are just listening to it from music, and they could care less about the fact that it is comes from the lineage of Kundalini yoga, because the music itself is really fairly complex. There's ambient songs, there's driving tempos, there's songs that don't have structure, songs that are completely filled with structure, like a very, very traditional pop song. It's, lush and spacious. There's orchestrations. We had a string section record on it, a brass section record on it, the virtuosic players from around the world, a kora player from Mali who is just the purest bloodline of kora alive today on the planet, can trace his lineage for 70 generations. There's a guy who's been nominated on our album for, I think, 9 Grammys, but it might be 10 by now. Gabe Witcher of the Punch Brothers. So the music itself is very sophisticated. And I don't say that tooting my own horn. I say that like just in gratitude for the whole team of people that we work with. And so there's a lot of people, like our taxi driver the other day, for instance, or my friend's husband, who is, I think he's a photojournalist, a teacher who teaches in a primary school. She told me she listens to it to combat her road rage, and that she doesn't have road rage anymore, but she doesn't know what Kundalini yoga is. So what's nice about the music?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So what's nice about the music is, it reaches people that this isn't their path, and that there's something really beautiful about that for me.
So true. Yeah, we always encourage people, if they're just starting out, to even just play it while they sleep, or play it, at different times when they feel called to. And we have the mantras 24/7 in our homes, and especially, of course, when we're working and in the car. So is there something specific that you tell people if they've like never worked with mantras or never worked with Kundalini before, as kind of a way to start or choose a first mantra?
Yeah, I will tell them that in a way of choosing the mantra is honestly whatever you're attracted to. Of course, there's certain mantras that work faster for certain things. If you want love, for instance, we have this mantra on White Sun 3, Mere Lal Jio, and it creates an atmosphere, a vibratory frequency that you'll never be separated from your beloved. Wherever your beloved is in time and space, that mantra will make sure that you remain together. So there's some mantras that work specifically and quickly for certain things, but at the same time, it's certainly true to say that all rivers lead to the ocean. And so I really, really encourage people to just, whatever you feel, it's just like when you're picking out a crystal or something like that. It's wonderful and intriguing and educational to read the crystal books about what amethyst does versus what peridot does. Like, that's a wonderful thing to know. But at the same time, which one are you attracted to? Go for that one, and it's not just any piece of peridot. It might be a specific piece of peridot, a specific recording of the mantra that you're attracted to. So go with that. And if you just like the whole thing, then play the whole thing. But I've had people achieve great success just gravitating towards what they're magnetically drawn to. There's something very authentic and pure about that, I feel.
Oh, I love that so much. That's such good advice. I actually have a question about one that I've always been really drawn to. It's from the second album, White Sun 2. And I've always tried to look up this mantra, but I could never find it. And for everyone listening, I actually did my training with Gurujas, my Kundalini yoga teacher training. And you guys would always play this at the very end of the training nights. And it's the Ik Ardas Wahe Guru, the choir song.
Yeah.
And it literally like brings me to a place of massive peace and where like beautiful, happy tears. And what does that one mean?
I just there's something about you saying that right now. It just kind of takes me back to the training, because it was in your training group that we recorded that choir. We recorded that at the beginning of that training group, we were recording that choir, and then we put it into the recording itself. So, so that was really cool. But
that's amazing.
Yeah, that was really cool. But so the Ik Ardas Wahe Guru, the beginning kind of incantation where I'm singing solo is a way of just asking to go into that heart space. So it's kind of a way of opening that heart space. And I hesitate to use the word love, because even though it's accurate, I feel that it's overused and therefore a little bit watered down and therefore a little bit like not totally understood. So I use that word acceptance because I think it's more descriptive and more directive. So if you're trying to move into the heart space, all you're trying to do is move into a space of acceptance and for everything, for all things, known and unknown, for the past, for the present, for the future, for the people that you love, for the people that you don't love. Just like acceptance makes you have a much higher vibrational frequency story of your life and experience of your life. And, people that are in an acceptance space, they can do more for the planet because they have more energy and more joy. So that Ik Ardas Wahe Guru, that specific mantra, it's a complete heart frequency, but it sort of has a beauty in asking creation to enter into that heart frequency, to enter into that sanctuary of love and protection. So that's sort of the intro, is like, please let me go into that sanctuary. If you're asking, creation, if you're asking the creator, if you're asking your higher self, your angels, whatever that higher force is to you, you're saying, please, I want to go into that sanctuary of love and protection and acceptance. And I want to enter into it. I don't want to leave. And so you kind of go through that doorway, and then the Waheguru sound is the sound of ecstasy. And Yogi Bhajan said that one recitation is enough to liberate you. If you say it correctly. I'm not sure if I've ever said it correctly, because but if you say it correctly, it brings you into that just ecstasy space, that just complete space of joy. And the wa is translated, wa is wow. It's just an expression of complete awe, just like wow. Like, I'm so amazed. I'm so in awe of this space I just walked into. And then the Guru space invokes self-love. So Waheguru is one of my favorite mantras because anyone can say it. It's so short, but it's so powerful. That Guru space, the self-love, and at the same time that it's doing that, it's balancing. It's just balancing the systems of the body. So transforming anything that was weak into something that's strong, transforming darkness into light. So that's my kind of long explanation of that mantra because I really do love it.
Wow. I feel like I'm over here kind of tearing up because it just really, your advice of like, go to the mantra that is calling you. It's like, well, that one was calling me for a reason. And I go back to it a lot because it does make me feel that. And that is actually what I have been working on, is really opening that heart space and not necessarily having, a casing around myself to protect myself when that doesn't really protect you, It's like opening it up and really and being in the awe of like loving yourself and everyone around you. That's beautiful. And of course that so plays into what we were just talking about with the Aquarian age.
Yeah. I know. I've actually never heard about how you explained it, moving from the third to the fourth chakra, from the Piscean to the Aquarian age. Yeah. So it makes so much sense.
And it seems so short. It seems like, it's only about 6 inches of movement, but like
200 years,
2,000 years,
2,000.
It's a massive movement, and another quality of the Piscean to Aquarian age movement is that movement of analog to digital, which is just a very, very, very major thing to talk about, moving as a collective from analog to digital. Well, what does that even mean? I mean, it means that, it wasn't that long ago that people were using card catalogs and libraries to do research. And now I can pick up my phone that's right next to me and I can get millions of results of that from that same research in seconds. I can pull it up. So that's if you just think of that metaphorically, time is speeding up. It has sped up. The data inflow is immeasurable. It's immense. And the brains have to figure out how to upgrade to that. And so you get a lot of people in the Aquarian age, for instance. An offshoot of this is a fear of technology, because of course they're afraid of technology. They were born in an analog age and they're not sure if their brains can handle it. In fact, a lot of times their brains can't handle it. They can't handle all the extra data. They can't sort it out. And it kind of goes into this cold state, kind of a cold frozen state, because it doesn't know how to deal with the new inflow. And so that's just another reason, describing the difference in the age, it's just another reason why these mantras are so critical to get into people's ears, and why I'm doing what I'm doing on the planet is just trying to make sure that they're accessible, that they're available, that they're heard, because I know, like the story that I told you, I know that they can heal. I know that they can change people. I've seen it. I see it every day. I get emails all the time, or messages, or just people coming up to me and saying how these mantras have changed their lives in some way. One lady, it was the death of her cat, and she experienced so much pain over that, and the mantras helped heal her. Or there was another person that told me that their father was in the hospital for a long time dying of cancer, and it was beyond time for him to go. Just beyond time. He had been hanging on for way too long in pain. And the doctors kept saying, any time now, any hour now, but he wouldn't go. And it was weeks. And the family was having a hard time. And of course, he was in severe pain, the father, the patient himself. And I guess somebody told him, it wasn't me, but maybe his yoga teacher or something, told him to put on a call, White Sun's a Call. And he put it on and he started playing it in the hospital room, and it took 2 hours and he was gone. He took his last breath. Yeah. I mean,
oh my gosh.
These things are just, when I hear it, it's so much bigger than me, and it's so far beyond anything that I could, personally do myself. But it does remind me of how critical the mission is, and just that we need to continue and hopefully find a way to just make it broader, bring it to even more people.
Absolutely. Wow. That story in itself is just so miraculous. And for those listening who don't know, a call is the mantra that we chant when somebody is passed to help them on their journey to the other side. So that's so incredible. And I know it's used for other things too, but that's so incredible that he was able to actually use that himself to like pass himself to the other side. It sounds like
that's the main thing for death. Yeah, absolutely. What you said is perfect. And it actually works for birth in the same way. If you're trying to bring a soul to the planet Earth and you want them to come gracefully, and you want them to come without fear of the unknown, and you want them to come, content and happy, and bring all their gifts down with them when they come, and make that transition easy for them, that a call mantra is just beautiful for the babies, for the souls that are coming, pregnant ladies, to play during a birth, to play for 40 days after the birth. It really helps.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I keep getting so many chills as we're talking.
Wow. I know. And you have a daughter as well. So that's amazing to hear. Did you play those mantras?
I did.
I'm sure. Yeah.
We're actually still listening to a call. So she's 2 now. And we still play a call every night for her. Just like we played it during pregnancy. We kind of never stopped playing it. And I think that the sound is comforting. So, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Great. So, I'd love for you to explain just a little bit more about how the mantras are paired with the Kundalini yoga and the meditations, so that we can kind of hear how it's all paired together and how that works from your perspective. Because like Tara said, you do explain everything so well.
Thank you. So yeah, that's such a beautiful question. And it's also such a big question because everything is intertwined, right? So it's just like the brain anatomy, for instance. If something happens in the prefrontal cortex, something else is happening then in the amygdala, and something else is happening in the anterior part of the brain. And so it's kind of, there's just a circle in a way of everything relating. And I think of the same metaphor being applicable in Kundalini yoga, whereas the meditations and the yoga that's done and the mantras that are done work in a very beautiful trinity. And when you start looking into these higher vibratory frequencies, paths that point people in a direction where they're growing in consciousness, you see the trinity everywhere. Don't you just see it everywhere? You have you brought up Jesus earlier, which is, in the Bible, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, right? In that particular lineage, you have Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. You have, in yogic technology, which is more my system, you have the Ida, the Pingala, and the Shushmana. You have the Trinity all the time. So that Trinity of the yoga, the meditation, and the mantra. I also kind of call the meditation the breath sometimes. So the breath, the movement, and the mantra, that is an extremely, extremely potent trinity. And it's sort of a divine trinity because you have the most important thing being the sound current. So that's the mantra itself. And the second most important thing being the breath. And the third most important thing being the movement. And they are constantly working together, constantly dancing together. You need to have the movement of the yoga in order for your nervous system to be strong enough to hold the vibration of the mantra. And then you need to have the meditation to set the new patterns in the brain that are supported by both the yoga and the sound current. So they're constantly just working together. The mantra does something, and then the movement does something, and then the meditation does something. But the nervous system frequency is really why we practice the Kundalini Yoga Kriyas. So we practice Kundalini Yoga Kriyas, and when I say Kriya, a Kriya means action. So Kriya is a complete action. And that's why we call it a Kundalini Yoga set, because you've done a complete action. So you do a Kundalini Yoga set to strengthen the electrical wiring of the body and the pathways on which the nerves can fire. And if you have weak electrical wiring in the body, then it's not going to be able to hold much of a current of energy, right? Compare the wiring in your bedroom that powers lamps, to the wiring at some kind of power plant that can hold the strength of a lightning bolt, right? So there's different types of wiring. The stronger the nervous system, the more energy the body can hold. And what specifically we want the quality of that energy is going to vibrate with the sound, and the highest vibrational frequency sound is the mantra. So it's kind of a mouthful, but basically the mantra is the highest vibrational frequency sound on the planet. And since vibration affects matter, we want the highest vibrational frequency current, the nod current, going through the body at all times. And the stronger the body gets through Kundalini Yoga, the more it can hold. And the reason why we practice Kundalini Yoga Kriya or Kundalini Yoga set, as opposed to going to the gym, or in addition to going to the gym, or in addition to playing tennis, in addition to our daily run, the reason why the set is so important is because Kundalini Yoga works on the 10 bodies. Whereas when I go to the gym, when I go running, when I go to my Pilates class, when I go to my spinning class, or kayaking, or surfing, or all those fun things that we do, hiking, we're only working on one of the 10 bodies. We're only working on the physical body. So when we do those other things, we're only working on 1/10 of the whole system. When we practice Kundalini Yoga, we're working on 100% of the system. So all of the 10 bodies, all of the chakras, all of the gunas, all of the tattvas, all of the meridians, all of the nadis, all of the everything that flows through the body, the surge, the strings, the nerve endings, everything's being worked on. And we're getting the blood oxygen at its proper level, which is above 21%. We're getting the organs optimized, the capillaries, the capillary beds of each organ. We're just the cellular structure of the body, the glandular system, secretions, everything gets working. So that's why in whatever you do, keep doing it. If you love it, if you love, running marathons, keep doing them, keep training, but add Kundalini Yoga, so that you get all of the 10 bodies energized and all of the systems that we just said, circulatory system, nervous system, endocrine system, digestive system, on and on. So the reason why you do a Kundalini Yoga set is to work on all the systems, and it energizes your nervous system to a point that has to really be experienced, cannot really be explained or described. And then you put the mantra into that upgraded nervous system wiring, and you are having a life experience, a physical experience, a mental experience, a full 10 body electromagnetic frequency experience of the mantra. And the mantra is going to always point you in the highest direction, the direction of your destiny. So you have this beautiful trinity. And then the reason why you do the meditations, you've got to do some kind of breath meditation every day. You have to, or your energy kind of is always going to be 40% less optimal. You kind of automatically lose it. And so when you do these meditations, these Kundalini Yoga meditations, you have the breath moving through the body in a certain way, and you're changing the brain pattern. So like Kirtan Kriya, for instance, Sa, Ta, Nama, over and over again on the fingertips, which correspond to the brain, which correspond to the 5 tattvas, which correspond to 5 planets with a influence on the human body. And there's just constant connections that you're making, and you're changing the brain patterns. So everything that you're doing in Kundalini Yoga, the meditations are changing the brain pattern. So that's the trinity of breath, mantra, and movement. And if you want to just kind of summarize it and forget about the long, drawn out explanations of it, the most important thing is mantra. The second most important thing is breath. The third most important thing is movement. So if you don't like yoga, then go to the mantra. If you don't like breath, go to the mantra. If you don't like mantra, go to the breath. You just try to Yeah. Trying to figure out a way to get a little bit in the system to just give yourself that upgrade.
Yeah, and the whole Trinity is just magic together.
It is magic together.
It makes you into superhumans. And I don't say that lightly, and I don't say it like as a Kundalini yoga teacher. I say it like from actually seeing it all the time. It takes a regular human and it makes them into a superhuman. I honestly believe that there's, in this Aquarian age, with these new souls, this digital upgrade, this heart-centered energy, these brain differences, I think that it's a new humanity now that this yoga creates. I fully believe that. I feel like this technology is creating a new humanity, the likes of which the world has never seen, and it's only going to get more intense, especially with these souls that are coming down, these babies and these toddlers. They're coming down here with an electromagnetic field, the likes of which the earth has never seen. And the reason is because, like what we said, the Piscean age is over, the Aquarian age has begun, and there's a new frequency of soul that's visiting the planet Earth, and then they're practicing the yoga, and you just have a new species. Frankly, we're just creating new humanity.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, you even look at, like, I look at Britt's daughter all the time, and she's totally like so further along than I feel like so many of us here. And she's 2.5, and I'm like, this girl, you can't get anything by this kid. She knows everything that's going on. And I'm just like, God, what are you gonna do? You know?
I know, it is funny to think about how you explained it with the technology and how our brains are changing. Because I think about my grandmother who's in her 90s, and she just tried to have a cell phone and she tried to get into it, but it was this point of frustration every day, and it was kind of a joke and it was kind of funny, but at the same time it was like, you know, the biggest stressor of her day was trying to figure out these buttons. And so, like, when you think about it that way, and really, like, it's our brains. It's the, you know, it's really fascinating where we're all going.
Yeah, it's quite amazing. You know, it's the whole technology thing is a discussion we could have, I feel like, for weeks. But somebody like your grandmother and my grandmother, I remember going through something similar with her. You know, they're born in an analog age, and so they have kind of more analog brains. And that goes for a lot of people. They don't have to be grandparents. They can be much, much, much younger than that. And they've inherited this sort of anti-technology vibration. It's not an anti-technology consciousness. Like, they don't necessarily think that they're doing it, but it's sort of a vibration that's been passed down to them, which is like, we can't handle that type of digital life, you know, whereas, like, there would be no podcast and this phone call wouldn't be occurring, and the book wouldn't be written, you know, if we didn't have this digital age right now. You know, podcasts are a product of the digital age, for instance, of one of the many thousands of examples. So yeah, you have
and Skype that we're calling you on right now. You know, you're in Russia, we're here. We can literally see your face if we decide to turn on the camera. You know,
it's
crazy.
It's such a miracle, and it should be celebrated and it should be used for a greater good, which is what we're doing. And one thing in Kundalini Yoga that it specifically teaches us is how to handle the extra data, so that we don't have to be afraid of it or feel like we need to limit it. There's not like an addiction to it. You know, we don't have to be worried about this upgrade. We just handle it like you handle any upgrade. You know, if you have an upgrade in your finances, for instance, then you're going to figure out a way to use that to your advantage, right? If you all of a sudden have more money, then you're going to be able to figure out a way to benefit your life. And it's the same with technology. We have this beautiful technology on the planet Earth. We just need to figure out how to use it. But you have so many people afraid of it instead, and kind of like, you know, projecting that fear onto others and their families, their kids, and all that.
Yeah.
Such a big benefit. Yeah. Oh gosh, I know. That was so helpful to just hear. Oh my gosh. I know it's like constantly inspired by just the mantra and the Kundalini yoga, the meditation, the breath. It's just
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I actually was wondering if you could, because I know you've talked before, like I've heard you talk about this in trainings, how we've had multiple, like just a few actually complete shifts on the planet where like we've kind of had a full die off and, you know, like dinosaurs, all that kind of thing. But now there's a shift happening, but it's a different kind of shift. And I believe you said it was happening in our own brains.
Yeah.
So do you know what I'm talking about? Would you
Exactly.
mind going into that a little bit?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I feel like that's really important, actually. I feel like that's a critical part of this conversation. So, no, it's great that you bring that up. So the planet Earth as a whole, and obviously we know we're just a speck in the universe, but on this particular planet, we've gone through a change of this magnitude 4 times before. So one of them, like you mentioned, was the dinosaurs. So the dinosaurs existed. That was a specific age. And then something happened to change the age. And what most people think happened was some kind of gigantic volcanic activity that shrouded the planet in ash and killed all of the life underneath the ash that couldn't have access to the sun and therefore food and on and on. So that was one of the changes in the age. Another change in the age is you always hear about the flooding of the planet Earth, and people talk about Atlantis and they talk about Noah's Ark, and people think that they've discovered Atlantis now under the sea. But Yogi Bhajan did say that there was a flood and the whole planet just went underwater. And that was another change in the age. And the reason why the dramatic physical change on the planet Earth actually creating then, outward change in a new age is because the poles of the Earth, which still are there, the North Pole and the South Pole, the poles of the Earth flip on their axes. And when the poles of the Earth flip, of course, dramatic physical changes on the face of the Earth take place as well. And he talked about the shift from Piscean to Aquarian now as being a change of the same magnitude, which is just such a huge statement, that right now the change going from Piscean to Aquarian is the same magnitude as the change in the age of prehistoric times of the dinosaurs. It was the same magnitude of Atlantis going under and the ark happening. It was the same magnitude as these things. But as you said, it's happening inside the human mind. And instead of the poles of the Earth shifting and flipping on their axes, it's the human mind shifting and flipping on its axis, which is just, of course, also there's planetary changes, which Yogi Bhajan told us would happen. There will be changes on the planet as this age begins to shift. But because the shift is happening mostly internally, the changes are not of that magnitude. They're the fires that are happening in California right now, which, is just, I know it's so heavy on people's minds. And then there's, the tsunamis and the Fukushima incident. And there's these things that keep happening all over the world, but they're not, they don't measure up even a fraction to what it was before, because it's really the mind shifting. And what happens when the mind shifts in that way is that you have a population left that is divided into 3 parts. And those 3 parts are the conscious people, which I'm considering us to be, of course, right? You guys, your listeners, and anybody who's out there and they're trying to create a better consciousness for themselves, and they're getting healthier and they're eating healthier and they're paying attention to their bodies and their brains, and they're listening to you guys. They're the ones that are going to be reading your book. They're the ones that are examining mantras. So you have the conscious people, and then you have the crazy people. So the people who can't really deal with the shift and therefore exhibit mental imbalances. So the people out there who are the very powerful imbalanced people are starting wars. The people who are not very powerful and they have imbalances are, exhibiting mental illnesses or just crazy in functional crazy. So it used to be in the old days, 100 years ago, the population was divided into people who were sane and people who were not sane. And the people who were not sane were in asylums. That's just how it was. However we feel about that, that's how it used to be. That those people were easily identified and they were kind of put away. Well, now it's the people are not easily identified and they're not put away. They're our coworkers. They're side by side, with the rest of the population, and they're functioning just fine. But there's something tweaked in the mind. Tweaked. You know what I mean by that? I know that everyone kind of knows somebody who's tweaked in the head, right? And so you have these, and you have different degrees of it. People who are completely crazy and people who are just off. So you have the conscious people, the crazy people, and then you have the dead people. So there's a lot of times very natural in such a dramatic change in the age like this one, that souls need to transition off the planet. So this place is, for whatever reason, it's changed too dramatically, and it's time for them to move on. It's time for them to go somewhere else, because it's just like whatever they were getting done in their incarnation, it can no longer happen here in this time and space. It's just way too different. In some cases, it's too advanced for them because the planet did become extremely advanced overnight, at least compared to what it was before. And so they're going, okay, I need to go to a place that's less advanced. That's something that can happen in every case, of course. So you have a lot of deaths. Everyone's affected by death more than they used to be now. So you have the conscious people, the crazy people, and the dead people. Those are the trifecta of humanity.
Yeah.
And,
it's a trinity in itself.
Yeah. And I love that quote that Yogi Bhajan talks about, and when he explains that, and it is just, it's showing up in such a big way now. Like all of us, know somebody who's had a disease or, had somebody that's passed, and it's happening more and more. And then you see the mental illness showing up in a lot of the shootings and just a lot of the pharmaceuticals and all of this. And then, there's so many people who are thriving and bringing light to the world. So yeah, it's just inspiration as far as like, which one do you want to be in?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing that is so beautiful. Like we talk about this planet being different from other planets, but that free will is something that we have that you don't necessarily get everywhere. And we, every minute of every day, we're making choices that create our reality. And the mantras help create a better choice, which helps create a better reality.
So beautiful. Such an incredible tool. And thank you for explaining that and for everything you've shared. It's just so enlightening and inspiring. And all of the work that you're doing in the world is helping so many more people to be conscious and to thrive in this age. So we love you so much, and we so appreciate everything that you're doing.
Thank you to both of you guys. I'm so inspired by you guys. I'm so happy to talk to you. I'm so in awe of what you're doing. And I really can't read, kind of know what I was going to say. I can't wait to read your book, because I just think that your mission is expanding and reaching more people and evolving. And I'm very excited about it. I'm thrilled about it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So we actually have three more questions to ask you before we end. And the first one is for you, what is your favorite way to elevate yourself? And I feel like we probably know here, but would love to know.
Logically you'd be like, oh, well, it's definitely chanting mantra, and it is. But when I really need a quick change, since I chant a lot of mantra all the time anyway, when I really need a quick change, I'll do a very quick, short yoga set. I like moving the physical body with the mantra is sort of magic for me, and it changes my energy so fast. So I'll do I'll do 3 minutes of Sarah Bundunde's yogic push-ups. I'll do 3 minutes of breath of fire. I like to do 108 frogs, the frog pose. So doing just some quick yoga when I need that influx of energy is the thing that works the fastest for me, since I'm kind of chanting anyway.
Always chanting. Move some energy and chant at the same time.
I love that. And then you always have a microphone in your hand, but this question is, if the entire world was listening and you had a microphone in your hand, what would be one message that you would share?
I would say what you guys have been talking about with me on this podcast, which is just, you've got to find a way to go into that acceptance space if you want to enjoy the experience of your life. You have to find a way to accept yourself and the other people, and stop putting judgments on others and judgments on yourself about what you think is a blessing and what you think is a curse and what you think is good and what you think is bad. Everything is a challenge, and everything that comes to you is an opportunity to grow from that challenge. And so we should appreciate it all. And if you can go into that space of acceptance, you will have a much more elevated experience of your own life. And I just urge people to mentally take that posture, and what is going to support you in that posture, what is going to help you move in that direction, is playing the mantras. And the easiest practice and one of the most effective practices on the planet Earth is to press play before you go to bed at night. Like, just whatever it is, whatever you are attracted to, whatever mantra that you like or recording that you like, even if it's your own voice, just press play before you go to bed at night. And it is a guarantee that things will change for you for the better.
Yep. It's wild. That's wild. And that's beautiful. I literally feel that I feel it when I forget to put my mantra on before bed. I wake up and I have different dreams. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and feel sort of lonely a bit. Like, where's my mantra? Where are the angels? Where is everyone? Like, it's just different. It feels you feel a little bit off. And if you do it multiple nights in a row on accident, like I sometimes will go multiple nights and I'll be like in a weird headspace, and you just got to get them back on.
Yes,
get them back on in the house and fill it up with the frequency.
Yeah, I've been there too. Like, you wake up and it's turned off, and you're just like, oh, this is weird.
It does feel. It's like, oh God, turn it on.
Right? And the feeling is so tangible. Like, when you experience it, I feel like it's always such a shift. So yeah, I love that. And I feel like everybody, if you haven't already, just try it and start trying it.
Right. Exactly. Even if it's really low.
Yeah, it can be super low. That's a really good point. And it takes no effort to try it. That's the other thing. It's like, could not be an easier practice. You don't have to get out your yoga mat or drive to class. Like, just press play. Like, it's the easiest thing you could possibly do.
So true.
I love it.
And then lastly, where can people find you?
Oh, I think that my website is still getting redone right now. I'm not positive about that, but I know we were redoing it and I have to check in on that. So White Sun is the best way to get in touch with me, White Sun and social media. So I have a personal Facebook and Instagram, and White Sun has Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I would love to hear from you, or you can write through our website. I would love it.
Perfect. And your personal Instagram is Gurujas.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you're always on the White Sun one as well?
Yeah. Well, we kind of, it'll get to me. Like, if it goes to White Sun, it'll get to me as well.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us. I feel like it's just always such an informative, like, deep conversation with you. And honestly, my cells in my body are all really alive right now.
Yes. It's so much tingling.
Yeah. Like, they're all like green lights, like everything. We're like really feeling it here. And like, really, it's, it's just so much truth coming through, at least, from all of our perspectives. So we really, really appreciate you sharing with us.
Thank you so much. It's really an honor for me. I'm grateful, and I mean it. I really believe in what you guys are doing. I just think it's so pure and so powerful. And so I'm very, very happy to be a part of it in every way.
Thank you so much. We love you so much. And, and thank you again.
And there was Gurujas. Just
so many chills and tears and just such amazing energy that we felt through that conversation.
Oh, my whole body was like buzzing the whole time. There was just so much that she was saying and coming through. Just the energy that she transmits to is so beautiful. It's so high. And we just love how she explains things, like the way she explains things in detail that is also really easy to understand and relatable is just a skill to have. And it's part of her talent.
Oh my gosh. Yes, she's, such an incredible human and so humble and neutral and radiant and bright. And the way that she delivers the teachings is truly exceptional. And so, oh my gosh, I feel like I was inspired in so many ways and learned so much. And
mantra is powerful, guys.
It is.
That's the bottom line. Mantra is so powerful, and there's so much you can use with it. But if you're going to do nothing, just do that.
Right? I feel like this episode in Gurujas is really what the elevator is all about. It's sharing about how people have elevated themselves and how they're really going out into the world and elevating humanity through their gifts and their talents and through their purpose. So she's doing it. She's a mama. She's, so many beautiful things, and she travels the world and she shares so much, and she lives a really beautifully balanced, conscious life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we love her so much. We're so happy that she was made time in her schedule to join us. She was joining us from Russia, where she's hosting multiple trainings with Hari Jivan, and they are really busy over there. So she took her night to be on with us, and we really appreciated that from her. And I know that you guys do as well. So
it was pretty funny how she was explaining she's been doing the teacher trainings there for 10 years, but how they have to learn to say one sentence and then stop and then have it translated. And I'm just thinking, when you're teaching this technology, to be able to stop after every sentence and have it translated is pretty cool.
Right? Lots of patience too.
Right?
But yeah.
That's awesome. They're doing them over there.
Really cool. Yeah. So yes.
Great.
I guess let's go into the lobby talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Time for Lobby Talk.
So Britt is heading out to Bali this week. And if you're listening to this on Monday, she's about to get on a plane. And any day after
moving
that,
to Bali for a month.
She's out there, and I'm going to follow her a couple days later. I'm going to go to my family's house for Thanksgiving and just hang out with them and drop off Rex. But Britt will be out there kind of laying the land and getting grounded before our retreat coming up, which we were telling you about earlier on the show. So we cannot wait.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
The energy is so cool and so fun. Of course, we're doing this also. It's going to be the start of this week is the start of Sagittarius season. So how fun is that? The Sagittarius is like the adventurer and the traveler. So of course we're moving and grooving.
Of course.
Did I just say moving and grooving? My mom.
We're so excited. We chose to do Thanksgiving over there this year and come back and do Christmas with the family. So it'll be Justin and Evie and I heading over and starting out in Ubud, and then we'll head over to Uluwatu, do our retreat. And then we have plans to potentially go over to Sumba Island and some of the other islands and just really see where we're called to go. We're going to definitely head over to the Green School and the Green Village and share a lot about sustainability. So So yeah, just follow us along if you guys are interested. If you're not coming to Bali, follow us along on our travels over on Instagram. We'll be sharing everything. And actually next week, we're going to have Justin, my husband, on the podcast. So we're really excited. He wanted to be episode number 45 for a lot of reasons, which he'll share in the episode. And we're excited for you guys to get to know him better and to just share everything that we're going to be talking about.
You guys are going to love Justin. Britt's going to interview him on her own. I said that if I was part of the interview, we'd probably just gang up on Britt and make fun of her or something. Just razz her a little bit. So we're like, well, I think he's going to be a little more open, but he's funny, you guys, and he's fun, and he's, just as much part of this as we are. So because we want to introduce you to him.
So true. And then lastly, we wanted to help you guys out and share, how to have a vegan Thanksgiving, or if you're interested in just incorporating more, veganism into your Thanksgiving, we put up a post of all of our favorite vegan recipes and just a little bit more inspiration for the holidays and having a really conscious and potentially vegan Thanksgiving this year. So we'll put that link in the show notes. Definitely check it out and tag us if you make the recipes as well. I'll probably be having like a dragon fruit bowl or something. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast, and send a screenshot to the elevator at elevatetheglobe.com, and we'll send you our magic morning checklist. We love you all so much.
Thank you so much for listening, and
may the pure light within you
guide your way on.
Sat Nam.
Sat Nam. Love you all. And have a beautiful Thanksgiving week with all your loved ones and anyone that you're spending time with.
We are so, so grateful for you.